They come at you with their provocations, their theatrics, expecting you to dance to their tune. But without your reaction, without the energy you give them, they are nothing. Powerless. It's all smoke, mirrors, and empty gestures. They depend on you to make their moves matter, to make their actions sting. Yet when you stand still, when you refuse to engage, their power crumbles into dust. The world becomes nothing more than a stage, and you're no longer an actor in their little drama. You've become the one pulling the strings. Reactions, the reflex of the weak, the desperate need to please, to belong. Reactions are born from that sickly, poisoned root of people-pleasing. Every flinch, every nod of agreement, every forced smile. It's all tied to that craving for acceptance, that unbearable itch to be liked. But what most don't understand is that people-pleasing is a slow death. It's a surrender, a sacrifice of self at the altar of other people's expectations. It's a leash wrapped tightly around your neck, pulled by anyone who dangles the carrot of approval. Reactions, then, are nothing more than the desperate gasp of someone trying to keep their head above water, afraid to drown in the silence of disapproval. Every situation that seems so pressing, so full of urgency and fire, is just an empty frame until you fill it with meaning. People think they control you with their words, their actions, but what is their effort worth if you don't respond? It's like watching a magician reveal their tricks. What seemed so grand, so inevitable, turns out to be nothing more than a parlor game, an illusion built on the assumption that you would react. But once you see through it, once you master the art of indifference, you realize the stage is yours, not theirs. They may move their pieces, set their traps, but none of it matters if you choose not to play. People-pleasing is an addiction, but unlike most addictions, it's camouflaged as virtue. Be nice, they say. Keep the peace. Make others happy. And so you comply, wearing that smile, that mask of politeness, thinking it will shield you from conflict, from judgment. But here's the paradox. In trying to be liked, in bending over backward to accommodate others, you become hollow. A shell filled with the expectations of everyone but yourself. You think you're keeping the peace, but in reality, you're killing your soul piece by piece. Situations unfold like a script, carefully designed to elicit a response. But the secret is in knowing that the script is meaningless without an actor to bring it to life. When you refuse to react, you don't just break the script, you rewrite it. What was once a crisis, a trap, a struggle, dissolves into nothingness. Situations are powerless because they depend on you to feed them with fear, with anxiety, with emotion. But when you detach, when you stand above it all, the situation loses its grip, its very meaning. You become the director, not the puppet. And the beauty of it, the less you react, the more the situation spirals, lost without the fuel it needs from you. People, too, are nothing without your reaction. They try to provoke, to prod, hoping for an emotional flare-up, something to prove that they have control. But control is an illusion they cling to, a false sense of power that vanishes the moment you deny them your energy. They speak, they taunt, they manipulate, thinking they hold sway over your emotions. But the moment you look through them, as if their words were nothing but air, they are undone. They need your reaction to feel alive, to feel validated. Deny them that, and they become hollow, desperate, frantic. The power they thought they had over you collapses, leaving them grasping at the straws of a game they no longer understand. What they don't realize is that your silence, your refusal to engage, is its own kind of power. A power far greater than any outburst or retaliation. It's the power of control over your own mind, your own emotions. In a world that feeds off chaos and reaction, being the one who doesn't flinch, who doesn't react, makes you untouchable. Their attempts to provoke become meaningless. Their insults, their schemes, their manipulations, they all fall flat. Because without your reaction, they're left with nothing but their own impotence, their own insignificance. Think about it. The moment you give in, the moment you react, you hand over your power on a silver platter. You let them dictate your actions, your emotions. But when you hold back, when you watch without moving, without blinking, you force them to face their own weakness. You strip away their illusion of control, and all that's left is a hollow shell of what they thought they could be. In that moment, they're the ones trapped, not you. They wanted your reaction to prove that they had some measure of influence. But without it, they stand powerless, exposed to the emptiness of their own games and the darkness of it, the darker side of people-pleasing that no one wants to admit. It's not about being good, about kindness. It's about control. People-pleasing is a twisted form of manipulation, an attempt to control how others see you, how they treat you. Every time you react to keep someone happy, every time you shift your behavior to fit their mold, you're trying to twist their perception of you into something that won't hurt, something that won't cause friction. But in the end, the irony is sharp. The more you please, the less they respect you. The more you react to their whims, the more they take from you. You're nothing but a puppet, dancing on strings that others control, and all the while thinking you're the one holding the strings. Niceness is a poison, disguised as sugar. People pleasers think they're playing a game of balance, keeping everyone satisfied. But the game's rigged. The more you give, the more they demand. The world senses weakness in that desire to be liked, to be accepted. It smells the desperation, the insecurity that drives those endless reactions. And once they know they can control you with a raised eyebrow, with a disappointed sigh, they will do it again and again. People-pleasing doesn't buy loyalty or love. It buys contempt. The moment you become someone who bends to every wind, to every demand, you lose the one thing that matters, your own power. Reactions, they stem from fear, from the fear of being disliked, of causing discomfort. But here's the grim truth. Being nice, reacting to please, doesn't protect you from pain. It guarantees it. You think niceness is your shield, your ticket to being accepted. But it's a trap. A nice person is malleable, predictable, easy to manipulate. They think their endless sacrifice will be rewarded with love, with respect. But respect isn't given to those who bend. It's given to those who stand firm, who refuse to react, who refuse to be moved by the demands and expectations of others. Reactions are born from a place of wanting to keep the peace, but the peace is a lie. There's no peace in people-pleasing, only quiet desperation. Each reaction is a piece of yourself handed over, a little bit of control you give away. And with each piece, you become less, while others take more. The paradox is clear. In trying to be everything to everyone, you become nothing to yourself. And once you're nothing, you no longer exist in their eyes as well. You're a tool, a vessel for their whims, easily discarded when no longer needed. People-pleasing is the slowest form of self-betrayal. It teaches you to react, to bend, to comply. But those reactions never buy you safety or acceptance. They buy chains. Chains you wrap around yourself in the hope that submission will keep you from harm. But harm always comes, doesn't it? Because niceness, politeness, reactions, they're seen as weakness, as an open door for others to take what they want. Reactions are the outward manifestation of an inner void, a void that people-pleasers try to fill with approval, with affection. But the void grows deeper with every reaction, with every time you silence your true self for the comfort of others. So stop reacting. Stop pleasing. Let them feel the discomfort of your silence, the weight of your indifference. Strip away the mask of niceness and reclaim the power that lies in not reacting, in not caring whether they approve or disapprove. In a world full of people-pleasers, be the one who stands unmoved, unshaken. For only then can you truly be free. Emotions, the invisible chains that bind you, dragging you wherever they please, like a puppet on a string. The bitter irony, your emotions are nothing more than the slaves to your thoughts, and yet you bow to them, powerless, thinking they're the masters. Every anger, every fear, every fleeting moment of joy or despair, it's all born from the mind, the machine churning out thought after thought, shaping your emotions like a blacksmith, forging chains. And in the end, those chains wrap around your neck, pulling you into the depths of impulsive reactions, irrational fears, and fleeting highs. You're not in control. You're being dragged, and the worst part, you mistake this slavery for living. People cling to their emotions as if they were real, as if they were some divine truth, revealing their innermost essence. But emotions are puppets, nothing more. And like all puppets, they perform at the command of something far darker, your thoughts. What controls your thoughts controls your world. And yet most let their minds run wild, a chaotic spiral of noise, shaping emotions that they can't even understand. It's a vicious cycle. Thought creates emotion. Emotion governs action, and action solidifies the chains that bind. Every reaction, every outburst, every tear or smile, they're all symptoms of a mind left unguarded, a fortress with the gates wide open to invasion. The art of breaking free is not in conquering emotions with sheer force. It's in understanding that they are nothing without your consent. Silence is the key. Silent observation. The dark art of watching without reacting. Instead of being swept away by the storm, step back. Watch the thoughts swirl. Watch the emotions flare. Do nothing. Say nothing. In that silence, something profound happens. The storm loses its grip. The chains start to loosen. When you simply observe, without judgment, without engaging, the thoughts begin to fade, and with them, the emotions lose their power. What was once a tempest now becomes a mere ripple in a vast, still ocean. Observation is a weapon, a blade sharpened in the fires of self-control. When you master silent observation, you hold the leash. Thoughts will come, emotions will follow, but they will no longer drag you into the chaos. Instead, you watch them like a predator stalk and prey, with cold, calculated awareness. You see the thoughts form. You see the emotions stir. But you remain unmoved, a dark figure standing at the center of the storm, untouched by its fury. And the more you practice this art, the more you realize how little power emotions truly have when you refuse to be swept up by them. The weakness lies in identification. People identify with their emotions, as if feeling anger makes them angry, as if feeling fear makes them fearful. But emotions are nothing more than echoes, shadows of the thoughts that gave them life. And shadows cannot hold you unless you let them. When you stop identifying with the emotions, when you see them as nothing more than momentary ripples on the surface of the mind, their power evaporates. You are not your emotions. You are the observer, the one who watches, the one who stands in silence as the mind plays its games, refusing to be a participant in the farce. But here's where the villainy lies. The world doesn't want you to master this art. The world thrives on your emotional slavery. Entire systems are built on the fact that people react, that they follow their emotions blindly, that they let their thoughts and feelings dictate their lives. Break free, and you become something else. You become unpredictable, uncontrollable, a force that no longer plays by the rules. Silent observation is not just a personal liberation. It's a rebellion against the very forces that feed on your emotional chaos. When you stand in silence, when you watch without reacting, the world loses its grip on you. It can't manipulate. It can't push your buttons, because you've disconnected the wires. The thoughts come, the emotions rise, but they find no foothold. They pass through you, like a breeze through an empty room, leaving nothing behind. And in that silence, you find real power. Power not to control the world around you, but to control the one thing that truly matters, yourself. So watch. Watch as your thoughts create the emotions that once ruled you. Let them swirl, let them rage, but remain still. In that stillness, in that silence, you will find freedom. And once you break those chains, once you no longer react like a slave to your own mind, you become something far greater than what you were. Something dark, something unstoppable. Givers. They walk through life believing in the purity of their intentions, the nobility of their kindness, as if the world is built to reward such selfless acts. But there's a darkness in giving, a shadow that follows every gesture, every sacrifice. Because while givers pour themselves out, drop by drop, the takers gather around like vultures, circling, waiting. The givers believe their generosity will be met with gratitude, that their endless well of compassion will somehow inspire balance. But that's not how this game works. The takers never stop. They never pause. They never ask how much is too much. Takers will drain you dry, leave you hollow, and move on to the next source without a second thought. Setting limits is the only way to survive in a world of takers. But limits are not in the vocabulary of the giver. It feels wrong, doesn't it? To say no, to refuse. The giver has been conditioned to believe that limits are selfish, that boundaries are cruel. Yet without them, the giver is nothing but prey. To give without limit is to bleed without stopping, to open yourself up to a slow and inevitable death, one piece at a time. Takers don't care about your boundaries. They have none themselves. They will take and take and take until there's nothing left, until you're a husk, drained of every ounce of energy, of will. To survive, the giver must embrace a darker truth. Kindness without boundaries is a death sentence. To set limits is to reclaim power, to ensure that the act of giving doesn't become an act of submission. In the end, it's the only way to survive the endless hunger of the takers.